What's up YouTube? Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make a realistic mock-up in under 10 minutes using my brush pack, which you guys can actually go download, link in the description on my website. And yeah, I'm just going to go through all the steps I take to actually make these realistic pair of jorts and how simple and easy it is to actually use my brush pack. So let's get started with this video. All right guys, so here we are on the main menu. This is the first thing you see when you open up Procreate. First thing we're going to do is make our canvas. So we're going to go to the top right, press the white plus, and we're going to make a new canvas. So we're going to press the two black squares on the top right, and we're going to make our canvas 4,000 by 4,000. And we're going to keep the DPI at 300 because if the DPI is any lower, it's going to make your canvas blurry and your design blurry and pixelated, and we don't want that. So we're just going to press create, and we're going to go on to our canvas. All right guys, now that we're on our canvas, I'm going to show you guys how to make a semi-realistic mock-up in the least amount of time possible. Now I'm going to go through every step. To do this, we're actually going to need a tool, and that tool is going to be my brush pack. Now my brush pack is called Melt's Ultimate Shadow Brush Pack. Now why this brush pack is way better and different than any other brush packs is because of one reason. Not only does my brush pack come with 60 plus mockups front and back from shirts, hoodies, jackets, pants, jorts, and accessories, and it also comes with all the essential textures that you would need, including line stitching and pockets. Now, what makes my brush pack actually stand out from other brush packs and makes it way better and easier to design with is actually comes with pre-made shadows. So you actually get a shadow for every single mock-up in the mock pack, ready to use and ready to place to make your designs semi-realistic. No more 2D color block designs. You guys are now able to make 3D looking designs in little as 10 minutes. And I'm gonna show you guys that right now. So for this example in this video, I'm gonna actually show you guys how to make jorts using my brush pack. So the first thing we're gonna do is make sure we're on a new layer. We're gonna go ahead and add the jorts one from the mock pack. So I'm gonna go ahead and center it and size it up. Now, the next thing I'm gonna do is color it. So there's actually a shortcut you can use to actually color this mock-up instead of coloring it individually for every layer. So I'm going to show you guys real quick how to do that. But before we do that, I want you guys to duplicate this layer. Make sure we have 2 of these. And now we're going to go to the first layer. We're going to continue fill at the top. We're going to turn this up all the way to 100. That way that our full mock-up is now colored, but the canvas is also colored. So I'm going to show you guys real quick how to get rid of that. So we're going to go to the lasso tool on the top left. We want to make sure that we're on automatic, and we're going to tap on our canvas. Now, as you can see, it only selects the canvas and not our mockup. If this doesn't work for you guys, make sure to mess around with the threshold. So I think I had it at around a 9. Next thing we're going to do here, we want it to select just the jorts. So we're going to press invert at the bottom, and now just the jorts are selected. Now we're going to press copy paste. Now we should have a new layer of just our colored jorts. So now we can just go ahead and delete this layer. Now we have our jorts colored and perfect. Now the next step that we're going to take is changing our color to black and actually adding the texture. So we're going to go ahead, go to my textures from my texture pack. I'm going to go ahead and press the gene texture, and we're just going to up the size to 100% and just color the whole mock-up. Make sure it's all covered. Now, as you can see, the texture is bleeding onto the canvas. So what we're going to do is tap on our texture layer, press clipping mask, and there we go. Now we have a texturized mock-up. But I think the jorts are a little too dark for my liking. So what I'm going to do is go to my color layer. I'm going to go to top left, magic wand, hue, saturation, and brightness. I'm just going to go turn up the brightness to around 69. It's pretty good. Now we have our mockup beautifully texturized and colored. Now for most brush packs, this is where the capabilities usually stop. This is like the most you're gonna get. To make it semi-realistic and actually look 3D, you'd have to draw the shadows yourself. This would probably take a couple hours to do. Now with my brush pack, just having the shadows solves that and saves so much time. So what we're gonna do is actually add our shadow. To do this, we're gonna add a new layer above our texture, and we're gonna make sure we have Jort's one shadow equipped, and we're just gonna tap, and it's just as easy as placing the mockup. Now what we're gonna do is just resize it so it matches up. All right, now that we have our shadow lined up, I actually think the shadow should be darker because the actual mockup itself is a darker color. So what I'm gonna do is go to our shadow layer, slide to the left, press duplicate, and I'm gonna tap with 2 fingers on this layer and turn it down just because I don't want it to be too dark, just a little bit darker. So I'm gonna turn this down to 31. And from there, I'm gonna merge down our 2 shadow layers. As you can see, we have some shadow slipping through to our canvas. So what we're gonna do is tap on our shadow layer and add a clipping mask. Now we have a semi-realistic mockup. Literally took only a few taps, and if you were going to do this from scratch, this would have taken hours. Now I do actually have a video how to do all this from scratch. It'll be linked in the description, so if you guys are not interested in my brush pack, you can go watch that video. I show you exactly how to do this for any mockup step by step. All right, so now that we have our shadow, now I want to show you guys what I'm going to do with these pants design wise. So I've gone ahead, added a reference photo that we're going to use to make our design. So we're going to start off with the fading effect. So the first thing we're going to do to make this fading effect is we're going to add a new layer, and we're going to move this layer under the shadow layer, and we're going to make sure our brush is on the round brush, and we're going to change our brush color to white. And from here, we're just going to add 2 circles about so on each side. Doesn't matter if they're even or not. We're just going to fill them in. And then we're going to go to the top left to the magic wand. We're going to go to Gaussian blur. And we're just going to turn that up. 49 is pretty decent. And I'm going to turn the opacity down on this layer a little bit so it's not so strong. Next thing we're going to do is add the distressing at the bottom. All right, guys. So I've actually gone ahead and changed our canvas color to gray. So that way we could actually see the distressing at the bottom a little bit better. So what we're going to do here is we're going to add lines all around the bottom hem. But to do this, we need to have a fine tip brush, which is going to be an inking. And then we're going to make a new layer above this. And we're actually going to move this layer below our outline. And we're going to take off the clipping mask. That way we'll be able to see our lines. So we're just going to start adding the lines all around the bottom. Now the next thing I want to do is actually add more fading to our pants before we actually move on to the main distressed fabric design. So what I'm going to do here is going to go back to our painting brush, round brush. I'm going to add 3 lines like so. And from here, I'm actually going to do the same thing. Go to Gaussian blur. We're going to turn it up to around 12. And then from here, I'm going to go to the eraser tool. And we're going to make sure we're on round brush here. I'm actually going to erase the bottom of each line so that it's a straight edge. And then from there, I'm actually going to turn down the opacity just so it matches up a little bit. And I'm actually going to make the length longer than what it is. That makes my favorite fading effect to add to jeans. And from there, just to give it a little bit more blend, I'm actually going to turn up the Gaussian blur just a tad bit. Now actually to make the distressed fabric design. So to do this, we're going to go to our top of our layer. We're going to add text. And from here, we're going to type out whatever. Put my brand name. And then from there, add a new layer above it. And I want to make the fabric a yellowish, tannish color. And we're going to go to organic. And we're going to use sword grass as our brush. And now on our new layer, we're going to trace around the text. All right, from here, once you get your letters traced out, what I'm gonna do is actually turn down the saturation on our actual trace because I want it to be a lighter color. Now from here, next thing I'm gonna do is add wrinkles to the actual text so it looks wrinkly, just like in our reference photo. So I've actually gone ahead and already found a wrinkled texture, which you guys will actually be able to use if you join my Discord. It's free. I have a bunch of free assets you guys can use for your designs. So if you join my Discord, you guys will be able to use the same texture that I'm using here. So I'm gonna go ahead and import that. And I'm going to go ahead and color my letters to a darker color so it shows up better. And I'm gonna turn down the saturation and turn up the brightness. All right, from here, I'm going to add my wrinkled texture. I'm just gonna line it up, duplicate it. I just duplicated it and lined it up next to it. Now I'm gonna merge them down. And from here, I'm gonna add a clipping mask just so it shows up on our letters. And from here, I'm gonna go to multiply as our blend mode. And then to make it more 3D and pop more and actually look like it's sewn on, I'm going to add shadowing around the letters. So what I'm gonna do is go back to our trace letters. I'm gonna duplicate it. I'm gonna turn this to black, and then I'm going to turn the Gaussian blur. And then I'm going to go and turn down the opacity on our wrinkle texture and the opacity on our shadow texture. All right, there we go. Now we have a somewhat 3D distressed fabric on our design. Now, to make this more realistic, I'm going to add a fabric texture. So I'm gonna go to our texture brush. From our texture pack, I'm gonna add the linen texture. I'm gonna make a new layer. I'm just gonna color all in between. I'm gonna add a clipping mask. And I want it to show up, not too much. I'm gonna turn down the opacity. All right, guys, there you go. This is our final design. I've added a shadow layer behind our actual fabric text, and I've gone ahead and used some free assets from my Discord to add this button and some of the metal studs onto the pants. So that's how you make a design really fast and easy, super simple, using my brush pack. If you guys are interested in actually using my brush pack, you guys can go to my website, link in the description. You guys can go download it for yourself, make your designing a lot faster and easier and actually look good. And I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you guys want to learn how to do all this from scratch, I also have another video which you guys can watch. It'll be also linked in the description. And I go step by step on how to do all this without using any brush packs, just the Procreate default tools. Make sure you guys join my Discord. That way you guys can use some free assets I have. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Peace.